Testing 1, 2, 3. Excellent. Here we are once again in the pocket dimension where we will paint all the things. Here we go. And there we are. Badoom. Badoom, badoom, badoom. I've got some things here that I got at Adepticon last week, or week before last actually. And yeah, so I'm just going to be painting them. This is, hello, Pumpkin. Pumpkin is in my lap here. He thinks he's going to stick around, but he knows he's going to be, I left the door open. So this is a little guy from the one-page rules people. So you can get one-page rules figures now, even though they are miniatures agnostic. They do have their own line of little figures they've come out with. So whoever thought they were ever going to do that, pretty neat, if you ask me. Of course, I've got last year's over here too that they were handing out. Where is it? It's on a painting handle. It's on a painting handle, I believe. But anyway, I started working on that fella, so I think I'll probably continue to work on him. And then let's see, these are some of the ECBS armored battle suits, power armor, individual power armor suits from Sea Dog Game Studios for their game Tech Commander. So paint those up too, pretty quick, cute little guys. And then this is the this is a quad bike for them, even in the far-flung future. Actually, it's really set in the near future. So check it out. Tech Commander. It's a fast-playing sci-fi, fast-playing mecha-based sci-fi skirmish game rule set. And you could play with any models that you had, but obviously the models that Brian creates for that are really a little bit more specific to the options. So, all right, Pumpkin, buddy boy, you're probably gonna have to get the eviction from the pocket dimension here. Hate to say it. So I'm gonna use a little bit of bright warm gray here. Let's see. I'm going to use bright warm gray and do what might be the metal bits, like like his headdress, this guy's headdress, and he's got some little armor bits around his feet, and his armor vest. We'll get a nice warm gray color going on here. So this is bright warm gray. I want to try that because I'm using blue on his body. So warm gray versus colder blue. Excuse me. So last week I was interviewed on Wargamer Girl's channel over on YouTube. Pretty good little interview. Got a little bit of a rough start because my computer is getting old and it didn't want to do whatever it needed to do. So it was just what it was going to be and had to restart that. So I had to switch over to my mobile device. Actually, I think I just used my tablet and used the link that she sent me. But it was a nice little show. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. Yeah, so Wargamer Girl got to interview JP Gotrokkits. Go figure. Whoever thought that would ever happen. Got to talk about one of my favorite games, Sail Power, which I should probably be painting some of that stuff up here before too long. But I got these cool little figures. I don't have too many of these on the table, on the desk here, but this one came. This was the freebie from One Page Rules. What are you doing, Pumpkin? This is Captain Kane, based on a certain gentleman from a certain movie about Zulus. He's in obviously science fiction-y gear. He's got a laser pistol. Michael Caine's character. This was the 2025 Victoria Lamb, Victoria Miniatures figure. The 2025 official Adepticon figure. So her outfit actually matches really closely the Sledgehammer crew from Reaper. There's a reason for that, obviously. This was the freebie from I believe it was Hicks and Hobday. So Andy Hobday is the rules writer, I believe, and it's Paul Hicks that is the sculptor. So this is sculpted by Paul Hicks for their upcoming Barons War. And this guy is obviously some member of the clergy. So he's got a little mitre cap, or as we always call them, fish head hats. And so that's going to be fun to paint up. And then this, let's see. This is another one from a Victoria Miniatures. And that is going to go in my Tallarn Desert Raider army. And they actually do have some figures to go with those from their own line. But, of course, the Tallarns are a lot chunkier. They don't quite fit, but she'll be alright. She'll look just fine in that outfit. She'll stand out. Let's see. This is the Mimic Trio from More Than Dice podcast group. So you got Nerd Holla, Mizzy, and Gonzo there, all represented in this figure. So that's pretty cool. That's going to be a fun one to paint up. And then this is Robe Guy. Robe Guy's name is Cliff. What is his last name? He is a voiceover guy. And his name is... Cliff. Clint. This is a representation of Clint Beaver, and he was working there at the Trenchworks Victoria Miniatures booth, along with Goobertown Hobbies and eBay Mini Rescues for their new cool tool for making figures, or for painting figures, I should say, making figures. So check out that tool. Brent and Casey were talking about it on their podcast this week. I believe it is called Paint Bravely. So go check that out. Paint Bravely on YouTube. And Casey and Brent are talking about their new tool, which it's really just that sounds, I'm not trying to be reductive about it, but it's a piece of equipment that has been used in nail art for many years. So they looked at it and figured out a way to purpose it for miniatures painting. What are you doing? Hey, don't eat that. Dangers of having a cat. He's found something. He always tries to gnaw off the rubber feet. What are you doing? Jeez. Well, it's down the gullet now. Out. Out. And he went under the... he went under the under the shelves there. I'll get him. I'll get him out here in a minute. But, oh, there he is. Come on up. Come on up, and then we'll take you out. All right. Say hello to your public. So, do they meet your inspection there, Professor? Huh? Professor, eat the rubber feet off of the spice rack? Is that it? I mean, is that how you're going to be now? Just eat rubber feet off the spice rack? What is it about those things that you love? I've stopped you several times, but you got one. You got one. You got one. You'll probably be all right. If you're anything like the dogs we had, you'll pass it right through. But we're not taking you out to get your stomach pumped. We'll just let you pass it through your poop. All right, out of the pocket dimension, beast. Out. All right, well, there is that. All right. So. All right. So, let's see. Okay. There is a little delay on the Rumble. So if you're in chat on Rumble, I don't know that I can necessarily see you. Hi, everybody. All right. So it should be running. Sometimes what happens is things is like even with the YouTube app, sometimes YouTube the live chat won't show up, and it's very strange. So, but anyhow. All right. So I'm in a little bit of a cramped spot here. Really, I don't know why. Probably because I don't have a lot of time. This is about all the time I get for hobbying out of a week. So I'm actually not in the pocket dimension more than a couple of times a week. Busy guy, as they say. Busy guy. Almost too busy in some respects. Wear myself out most of the time. Don't have time to do a lot of the things I need to do. So what did I do? Start a regular stream with regular viewers. Yeah, because that's always good to do when you don't have a lot of time. Start something where you need to devote a certain amount of time each week to it. Because that's always a good thing to do when you don't have time. Add something on that's going to take time. But it does give me a dedicated time for hobbying. So that's good. I mean, it is relaxing in that sense. And I mean, I could be watching somebody else or listening to somebody else's podcast or the like, but you know, why do that when I could do the same thing, right? Maybe somebody needs to hear something out there that I can help with, you know. We'll see. So I've got two jobs, two projects going on this week at work, and that's quite a bit, as well as service calls. I just don't know how. I had to put the service calls on hold. So that happens sometimes while I get caught up on some of these other projects, especially after being at Adepticon week before last. You're probably saying, "Hey JP, it looks like that miniature hasn't been primed," and I would say, "You are correct. This miniature has not been primed. Why? Because it's resin. And I've found that resin has a certain porosity. Now, this is not quite as grabby as the other, but I've found that now one of my favorite resins for painting is actually TGM7, and it's got a nice tooth to it. But the porosity of resin is actually pretty good for painting without priming. I know a lot of people that's heresy. How can you paint without priming? You should always prime. Maybe, maybe. But there's a porosity that resin has that likes to suck the moisture into it and leave the resin and the pigment behind. So now, as long as you're not going on super thick, it's not a problem. You could still rub and chip paint off though, so that's really the only downside maybe. But even with that being a downside, it's not quite as bad as you would think. Because you could still rub paint off even with priming. So, but the paint does tend to stick pretty well. And as you can see, I'm really not losing much detail, if any at all, really. So, just getting these colors blocked in. Probably just going to go block and wash, tabletop quality. Maybe use some speed paint on this color. Maybe go over with a gray speed paint. And that's how we fix that. Get paint where you don't want it, that's alright. We will just wet it down, mop it out, and clean it right up. This is just a fun little paint job, nothing fancy, nothing really out of the ordinary that nobody else could do. Just kind of want to get some paint on it and get it done, just for fun. And there's nothing that says that you can't come back and revisit your old paint work later. So keep that in mind, folks. A miniature is only as done as you want it to be. So if you want to take it out and play with it later on, say you only are 80% done with it, it's okay. You can still play a game with it. That 80% is going to look 100% to most people. They're never going to know. How will they know? They're going to know. They're not going to know. They're going to know. They're not going to know. So. Now I'm wondering if maybe his cuffs should be gold. That'd be kind of neat. Kind of lean into that whole Aztec gold sort of a vibe. But I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm just going to go with what I'm going with. We're just going to have, as old Bob Ross would say, we're just going to have some happy little accidents. Don't know where the paint's going to take me tonight. Don't know where it's going to take me. We're just going to go along for the ride. And if it doesn't turn out great, well, that's okay. Not every miniature has to be a banger. Right? Not every miniature has to be perfect. Not every miniature has to be competition level, display level, what have you. Sometimes you just want to paint. Right now, I just want to paint. That's all I want to do. Been thinking about this paint job all day long, believe it or not. But you're being so careless with it, you say? Well, that's okay. I don't mind being careless a little bit. Now, the crest work and the spike there might actually should be his. Like more of a natural color. Maybe that's poking out of his helmet here. But his helmet is kind of funny because it's got. I mean, I'm calling it a helmet. I don't know. It may not be a helmet. But he's got. He's got little. Um, Cartridges, gas mask cartridges down here. And this is a pretty angular surface for being if it was just his face. So, I'm going to call it a helmet. And I'm going to paint it like a helmet. And if it turns out later on as the paint reveals that it's not a helmet, we'll do something else. Not going to get too worked up about it. Because when you get worked up about what you're doing, then you wind up doing it bad. So, and we don't want to do it bad. We just want to get it done. Going fast-ish does not necessarily mean that you're going to do a bad job. It just means you're not being as fastidious or overly detail oriented with this particular figure as you would be any other time. It's just something fun to get done. Just something out of the ordinary. We were talking, my boss at Sea Dog Game Studios and I were talking about, people talk a lot about supporting independent games and independent game systems and independent companies. But then they're right back to painting the 437th, 963rd Space Marine that Workshop releases. So, why is that? I mean, granted, I don't feel like I'm a hypocrite because I have a pretty good backstock of Workshop stuff to do. I can paint whatever I want. I'm not out there, but I've also gotten to a point where I don't feel like I have to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. I don't have to buy everything Workshop releases. I'm not interested in the FOMO. I have my collection. And aside from a little bit here and there that I might pick up just to do something with, I'm not really in the workshop, the Games Workshop ecosystem anymore. I got out of that really. I pretty well left it a long time ago. The thing that made me mad was when they made Assault on Blackreach. It was $60, 60 or 65, and they raised it up. They raised the price on it by 25%. Which my thing was, you could have two pretty decent forces to play against each other, and it's great for you and your buddy. You're basically in to the game for what, $32 a piece, $32.50 a piece. So split that between you and your home fry, and you know, you're both playing the game. Both started out. Got some unique, interesting units because I think it had Terminators in it, so that was good. Terminators and Gotrokkits. So you had some nice units that you couldn't get otherwise. Well, get the you can get Terminators out of a box as well, but you know, it was like a perfect starter set to get people playing. No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Sorry, it wasn't Terminators. It was a Dreadnought, wasn't it? Or were there Terminators in there? Was it 5 Terminators, 10 Marines, 10 Tacticals, 5 Terminators, and a Dreadnought? Maybe I can't remember. I bought like 3 of them, maybe 4. 3 of them, and then I split a 4th one with somebody because I wanted the Gotrokkits. So, but that was probably part of the reason why they raised the price to being ridiculously stupid for one person to be able, because 65 bucks wasn't really a bad price, considering that that was about the same price as a video game at the time. So every other month or so, it wasn't a bad investment. About what you'd buy video games at as a single person with disposable income. Not that I have disposable income. I mean, there is a lot of there are bills to pay and the like, but after that's done, I mean, that's not a bad price, right? So at the time, it was worth the money. At the time, it was good value for money too. We don't really see that much right now. So that's an interesting color combination. The dark blue, dark gray, blue gray that I went with for the body, for his base coat, base color, and then that sort of warm gray, bright, warm gray. Cat hair on my palette. Where'd that come from? I think we all know where that came from. Professor Pumpkin and his Gravimetric Studies Institute. But this could be used in a game of Stargrave or Starfinder. I meant, not Stargrave, Starfinder. As a figure for a character. You can probably use these for Stargrave as well. That'd be fine. But these are all from, this is from One Page Rules. Right there. And I think they sell these guys in a box of 5. So. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Not bad. All right. I'm going to take a little white here. And I don't know what I can do with this shield, but I'm going to undercoat it in white. Hopefully I can make it pop somehow. Ooh, 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 yeah. Yeah, there's an idea. Maybe we'll stay with cool colors, and I'll use this mutagenic green, maybe. This is a glaze from Cuttlefish Colors. That might be a good choice. Because I don't really have any glazes, so to speak. I've got some inks, but the inks tend to be a little too they tend to be a little too robust. All right. Let me see. Why am I shaking this? That's how we shake it. I put it on the old Typhoon there. So. Alright. A couple of drops of Pro Acryl Bold Titanium White. And we're just going to undercoat this energy shield. Now, if I were really smart, what I'd do is I'd cut this off really carefully. I'd make a cast of it and put it in clear cast resin with a little bit of yellow dye or something. Maybe red dye, blue dye, whatever color. Maybe green dye. I think we're going to go with green, right? Is that what we said? So that would be really cool. But alas, it is not the case. That's a lot of hobby work right there, and it's not hobby work that I really want to do right now. This is just to get things going, just to get some color on this dude here. Now you're saying, but your paint is pulling away. That's because I got it too thin. But I did that so that I could get it to go into the crevices. Also, I don't know if anybody here on the Twitch side of things watches Sparkhammer at all. But in case you didn't know, at Adepticon, Sparkhammer and her fiance now got engaged. So that's pretty cool. So congratulations to Sparkshammer out there. She had a piece in the Marvel Crisis Protocol painting competition. And I don't remember. You'd have to look up on Instagram maybe and see how she did. I know that I saw it, but I've slept since then, and I'm old. I mean, that's all there is to it. I'm old. I forgot. I'm not sure. I don't remember how she did with it. It was a really good piece, though. It was She-Hulk, and She-Hulk was putting the smackdown on the Vulture, and who else was in that? Was it Juggernaut? Maybe was in that piece. Well, look up Sparks Hammer on Instagram. You can see that what she submitted to the Worthy Path of the Worthy painting competition. So definitely do that. But again, congratulations to them for taking that step. It's a big way to go. If you are of the mind to try a new energy drink, if you are an energy drink connoisseur, why don't you look up w.gg and use my code ROCKETFUEL, ROKKITFUEL, for a discount on your order. That's ROKKITFUEL. Now, I don't want to get too crazy with this because if I start putting more paint on while this is not dried yet, I will cause myself a whole ton of frustration and upsetness. And I don't want to have frustration and upsetness. So I will stop there with that white for a moment. And then I'll just get some dark gray and hit the boss on that shield where he's holding it. Let's get some dark neutral gray here. Mix it up a little. We use dark neutral gray. Just a drop. Don't need too much. Not going to be using too much. And we'll just hit the boss. Right here on his energy shield. That part is stuck on his arm. Looks like he holds it like a little piece. Maybe it buckles to his belt or something. So he's got just a little bit right there. That on the other hand, it could just be maybe that's where it generates off of his cuff there. Could be. I don't know. I don't know how these guys' equipment works. We'll just make up stories though as we paint, and we'll tell ourselves these stories about how his equipment works and what colors he's supposed to be in. So I've always liked painting lizard men in blue. I don't know why. One of the first units that I painted for Ralpartha Legacy was a group of troglodytes, and they were riding land dragons, which are kind of like big lizards. So did those up, and the studio army was red, so I matched them to the studio army. But I really wanted to paint them in blue. I don't know why, but lizard men just seem like they should be painted in blue to me. So that's why I'm going with blue on this fella here. Yeah. All right. Hard to get back in here. This is an odd angle here. And if we get out of line, we can always clean it up or go back over it. It's just paint. It's just paint, folks. Easy, easy peasy. So now that's 3 colors. That's tabletop ready. If you really want to get right down to it. There are 3 colors on this figure. White, warm gray, or warm neutral gray, or light neutral gray, whatever it is, whatever this color is, which is kind of a deck tan gray. If you want my opinion on it, my real opinion, it is, I guess all my opinions would be real opinions, as opposed to facts, right? I gotta be careful because I don't want to reactivate the paint that I'm going back over and tear it. It's been a little, not quite long enough. The Pro Acryl does like to hold moisture a little bit longer, so you do have to be careful about how long you uh, wait between coats. So I don't know. White for I think white's too harsh for edge highlights on this stuff. Maybe do a little wet blending right there. Maybe. See what that does. While that's wet, we'll just work that. Maybe color that fin. Maybe that's like a unit. Maybe they use that fin on that helmet as a unit marking, or maybe they have like different spawnings. You know, so I don't know, but we'll throw some wash on that maybe and see where it takes us. Again, we're just seeing where the paint takes us tonight. I don't have any preconceived notions of where I want this to go. Just want to put some paint on it. Let's see, he's got a little tacet right there. So we'll just paint that little tacet right up. And see if we can get a good angle there. All right. I think we've got everything. I think we've got all surfaces covered, except for the base. So, oh, what's going on here? Come on, Rumble. What's happening for it? There we go. Rumble seems to have froze up, or at least maybe that's just my. Maybe it's just my tablet being stupid, timed out on me. Let's see. Hit the refresh button. There we go. I gotta learn how to do the thing with the thing, because trying to watch everything on multiple screens is not the best way to go. It does tend to get in the way here a little bit. Let's use a little bit of this dark blue and a little bit of this gray. And we'll just repair. We're getting a little wear and tear on his tail there. It's okay. Maybe we'll get a little weird little highlight thing going on here too. Don't know. Don't know. Let's see. See how this turns out. Be really good for dry brushing, I think, some of this texture on his legs, scales. But I think that once this color here dries down, I think it will be pretty close to the base color that I have. I just had a little gray and right there on the palette, and I wanted to use it, so I mixed it in with some dark blue, and I think it's probably the same color overall. It's gonna be close. It'll definitely be close. Let's go ahead and clean up some of this around his neck here. So, I'm going to clue you all in. Hey, Dollar Dylan, how's it going? Appreciate the resub. How you doing? Good to see you. So I'm going to clue in everybody in that's watching tonight on how to become a better painter. This one simple thing that you can do to become a better painter. Paint. Just paint. Just do it. There's nothing else. You can't take a class that's going to make you better. You can take a class and learn things that you can incorporate. You can learn methods. You can learn maybe ways to look at your subject, ways to approach things. But you can't take a class that's going to make you a better painter. The only way to make yourself a better painter is for you to just paint. How do you get good at something? Well, by just doing it. That's the way humans are. We can read all the books in the world. I could read all the books in the world on flying an airplane. But unless I actually go and start flying an airplane, I'll never be good at it. I'm not going to go fly any airplanes anytime soon, though, quite honestly. So what I'm painting tonight, Dollar Dylan, is one of the figures that I brought back from Adepticon. it was a freebie from the booth next to us at One Page Rules right there. So that's by One Page Rules. So yeah, so I have several that I brought back. This is a gentleman that's known around Adepticon as the Robe Guy. His name is Clint, and this is his attire for the whole weekend is him in flip flops, a boonie cap, and a robe. So they made a miniature out of him this year. He's kind of a staple at Adepticon. He was working at the Victoria Miniatures booth. Victoria Miniatures produces this. This is one of their figures from their line. It is Captain Laura Swift from the Desert Scorpions. So there's that. There was a little gap sticking between it. This is 3D printed. I actually broke the hand off when I was sticking it together because I was putting so much pressure on it because I couldn't get this shoulder to fit in right. So I just had to take it for what it was and just put a little green stuff in for gapping. Don't that looks like a jackal from Halo? Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. I can see that. That's possible. Very true. I can it's got that lizardy look like the jackals do, yeah. Yeah. And then this is Captain Kane, based on Michael Caine's character from Zulu, but as you can see, he's got a ray gun. So Captain Kane, that also from the Victoria's miniature booth. Pick that up. And let's see. This is the 2025 Adepticon figure. So it's got the little 2025 on the scabbard there. So looking forward to painting that up. This is the free figure from sculpted by Paul Hicks for Andy Hobday's rule set, The Baron's War. So the Baron's War is set in the 1300s in England, and it's about the obviously the Baron's War, right? So basically, think the time period of Robin Hood. Actually, I've got the Robin Hood figures that go with this particular rule set, but also they have their fantasy rule set that it bolts onto the Baron's War rule set. So you can play all those fantasy figures with their medieval figures. This is a quad bike from Tech Commander, the Tech Commander range of figures that goes with the Tech Commander game. Quad bike there. It's actually got jump jets, and it also auto drives itself in game. It has an auto drive feature so that it can work as a pack mule for the powered armored infantry in their ECBS suits that have little jump packs on them, and power armor there. So those are pretty cool. Let's see. Don't you wish tabletop RPGs had rules that were one page simple? Actually, there are several out there, Dollar Dylan. Believe it or not, there are several one page rules light, front and back RPG rule sets out there for free even. So ultimately, you wouldn't really need a whole lot of rules anyhow for an RPG. You could actually do it with a coin toss on a lot of things. Let's see. I want a JP Gotrokkits mini with a fez. That's not impossible. Let's see. And then this is a mimic from More Than Dice podcast. It represents their three hosts. So Mizzy, Nerd, and Gonzo. So that's pretty cool. That'll go into the terrain kit when I get that painted up. Make it so. Make it so, he says. Well, honestly, getting miniatures sculpted for you isn't cheap. Not cheap at all. So, but it's something that could happen. Could definitely happen. Let's see. Let's get a dark brown here. We'll go with German camo black for the ground. And looks like there's some... Oh, that's pretty cool. So there's some jungle leaves and the like here on the base. So that's pretty cool. Big paintbrush and a palette wearing a robe and fez with a cat on the base would be the most many of all time. Right. Maybe. Possibly. I'm not in a robe. This is just the robe guy figure that's in the robe. That's Clint Beaver. That's his last name. And his first name, actually. Alright. Phone is running out of... Well, if you're watching on YouTube, my phone that I'm watching YouTube chat on is about to die, so... If you're on YouTube, you might head over to Rumble or Twitch. If you want to get in the chat and have an old chin wag. The robe is the fantasy element. Ah, I see. Okay, well that makes sense. I'll let you make that determination there, Dylan. Oh, I've got to get onto the monthly monsters again. I got a little sidetracked last month because of so much to do for Adepticon. And get those going here. Last week was a little short week for streaming as well. And I think Thursday... Let's see, because last week I got home on Tuesday. So there was no stream on Tuesday night. Because I needed to decompress. And then, let's see. Thursday was a short program because I was pretty tired. Pretty wiped out from work. So, I did stream last Thursday, but I cut it short. It was only an hour or two, I think. But last Wednesday, I was also interviewed by Miranda over on her channel, Wargamer Girl. So over on YouTube, Wargamer Girl channel. She was one of the prolific YouTubers in the hobby space, specifically for like games like War Machine and some Warhammer back in the day. So, go and check out that interview. It kind of gives a little overview of what I was doing at Adepticon. It talks about the game called Sail Power that I like to play. I like to host games of that when I get an opportunity. Have something for you the next time we meet up. Full Metal Jacketed 9mm? I hope not. But yes. Alright, very cool. Well, I will be looking forward to the next time we meet up then, Dollar Dylan. As long as it's not Full Metal Jacketed. But I appreciate Appreciate that thoughtfulness. A Lego Mini. Awesome. I like Lego Minis. Actually, I had a service call. Here's a funny thing. So I had a service call uh, several years ago, and I went to the house, and I went in, and I did the job, and I looked down the hallway, and in their rumpus room, it was a basement with a rumpus room, family room. You know how basements have like pool tables and the like, pool tables and ping pong tables and the like. So I looked down the hallway, and here on the pool table was set up what looked like a Warhammer fantasy battle. I got a little closer and I realized that it was all Legos. So they were doing Warhammer Fantasy Battle with Legos. So they had Lego guys stuck to movement plates, the green Lego plates that were appropriately sized for the unit. And the kids had been playing, or somebody had been playing, Warhammer with Lego guys. Coolest thing I ever saw. And they had, trebuchets, catapults, and but yeah, they did it all with Legos. So there was no real hobbying per se, like we think of hobbying, aside from putting together Lego guys and putting together whatever war machines they might have had, like catapults and the like. I think they had a couple of siege towers. I don't remember if they had any castles set up, any ruins or anything like that. I don't recall. But it was really cool to see that. But with the price of Legos, it's probably about the same price to have actual Warhammer figures. Actually, I think a lot of them were actually not Lego figures. So, all right, I'm going to set that aside now that the base is done. I've got everything undercoated now to an extent. So, I've got 3 colors. I'd be more than happy to place that on the table. But as you know, we like to do things up to a slightly higher standard here. Even our tabletop stuff here. In the Pocket Dimension, we like to get things looking good. But for it to look good, it needs to set aside and let the paint dry. So I'm going to get out some primer here. Let's see. Do I want to use colored primer or do I want to use black primer? I might use black primer. Let's see if I can find it. I had it out here the other day. There it is. So I'm going to prime these little dudes up. And we'll get a brush to prime them up with, so I don't use the nice brush. We'll use a not so nice brush. And we'll prime these little guys right up. Just like that. Going to use black primer And that'll give a nice shadowy effect for dry brushing. And then we can go back and pick out some details on these little guys. They're extremely highly detailed for being 10 millimeter. So, one little guy, two little guys. Cat hair. Can't imagine where that came from. We had a pumpkin raid this evening. He came in because I left the doggone door open. Actually, it wasn't so much that I left the door open. He just came in because, you know, how cats be. Gotta come in. Gotta get right past your foot there. I've got a spice rack over here that I intended to use to help organize my paints. Um, and he keeps chewing on the rubber feet of it. He just has some fascination with that. I don't know what it is about the rubber, but he likes to chew on it. I don't know if he chewed off one of the feet or not. I've taken a foot out of his mouth on a couple of occasions, so he might have gotten one tonight. But having a cat is like having a 3-year-old. Half the time you run around cleaning up messes behind him, and then the other half of the time you run around going, "Hey, get that out of your mouth! What do you got in your mouth? Quit chewing that! Don't put that in your mouth!" I've never had a 3-year-old, so I don't know, but I mean, I would assume so. What are you doing putting that in your mouth? Don't put that in your mouth. Only difference is the 3-year-old will learn not to put things in their mouth. Cat, not so much. It's a D&D bad guy called Zaz Tam. Interesting. Never heard of him, but sounds exciting. I've got a Boba Fett, so maybe Zaz Tam and Boba Fett can hang out together. I got the Boba Fett from a little Lego set years and years ago. It was like like the $5 or $6 set. This little vignette. You put 2 or 3 of them together, they make a bigger picture, and then you can add them to even bigger set. And I think the bigger set was actually like um, Jabba's palace. Oh, there's a mold line there that I think I missed. Couldn't tell if it was a mold line or part of his clothing. I'm not going to get too worried about it. Now, ultimately, it'd be great if I had an airbrush I could use to prime these. But that'd be a whole nother ball of wax to get cameras and everything set up for airbrush station. Something that could happen in the future. But I definitely need to get new computer, new cameras too. Cameras, computer. I got to get a whole lot of new things. Really make this channel sing if I had some things to do. But the problem is this channel does not bring in the views like a lot of others do, which is fine. I figured it was going to ever pay the bills, but it would be nice to be able to upgrade things. So it's 10:30. Do you know where your children are? Almost 10:30 anyway. That's the old that's an old thing from the 80s. It's 10:30. Do you know where your children are? I'd always heard about that advertisement. Never saw it. But growing up in semi-rural Kentucky, there wasn't too many places for a kid to go other than in the woods down the hollow. I did finally see that advertisement, that PSA, when we went and visited some friends in Pennsylvania. They lived up not too far outside of Philadelphia. So I finally saw that. I'd always heard about that. It was always a joke. It's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? But we never saw that on WSAZ or WKYT or any of the other stations that we picked up. But I'd always heard about it. It was always something of a urban legend, you know. So finally saw that advertisement. So it existed. Hey, Quandam, how's it going? My adult children are still in the house, dang it. Right? I guess you definitely know where they are. I mean, I think civilians can get a hold of tear gas, can't they? CS gas or capsaicin at least. That's one way to get your kids out of the house. I wouldn't recommend it. Probably not a good thing. Probably getting censored by YouTube right now. Oh my gosh, he said this. I'm not big enough for YouTube to care about me yet. Well, Quantum, I gotta say, buddy, we missed seeing you at Adepticon this year. But know how things are for you, so hopefully you're hanging in there. But Black Skull won some awards. I think Monster Den won some awards. So, and of course, Falling Freely won awards. Of course, she always wins awards. She gets so worked up about her own work. Sometimes when you're that good, you just don't know how good you are. You know. So she was not real positive about her work going in, I know. She was having some real frustrations with the piece when she was working on it, but she turned it in, and Sunday or Saturday night she got awards. So good for her. So the whole Monster Den Minis crew was well represented. And I was running games of Sail Power and Tech Commander, and we actually had several people go down after the games, and they went down to the booth and bought the game, bought the rule book and our minis, and had some pretty good turnover that way. So we were pretty happy with that. I felt like I had accomplished my goal, getting people interested in the game, and the gentleman that bought all the Sail Power toys and rule set, actually is at Annapolis, so they'll be getting good use there, I think. I missed me being at Epticon this year, he says. Yeah, yeah. Weekend trip with the wife while we fumigate the house with a bug bomb, right? That'd do it. I don't think that's legal, though. I think that falls underneath the any use outside the prescribed usage of this is illegal. Uh, Part on the back of the bug bombs there, Quantum, might not be a good idea. Appealing, I'm sure. Probably not a good idea. violation of federal law to not use this product in accordance with blah blah blah, whatever it says on there. So this was the Victoria miniatures figure this year. The Adepticon figure, there, Quantum. If you hadn't seen it before, so I'm gonna go ahead and hand prime it up here. Even though it's been so nice lately, I got home and I just kind of took a nap tonight and woke up just in time to watch Dave Taylor and Jake Krajewski on Build, Paint, Play here on the YouTube. So, if you like miniatures, if you like hearing people talk about miniatures, if you like knowing a little bit of interesting stories from people that have been in the industry of making miniatures, definitely hit up Build, Paint, Play. Check it out. It's well worth the couple hours on Tuesday night before I start my stream. So there's 4 hours of great entertainment on a Tuesday night. You just don't get that for free even. So, let's see. Prescribed primary use of the bug bomb is to get rid of pests. I can't disagree with you there, Quantum. I mean, you do have a point. I gotta say, he's got a point, folks. The one problem, though, with kids is that you got to remember that when you're in your old age, they're going to make decisions for you and about you. Like the nursing home you wind up in. Whether or not it's safe for you to keep driving or not. And a lot of how they treat you then probably depends on a lot of how you treat them now. Just saying. I'm on your side, buddy, but also temper your valor with wisdom. When they get power of attorney, I'll remind them who paid for their college tuition, right? Well, their college tuition comes out of their inheritance. So, so the weather we've been having here, I think, is getting me a little bit. I've been having a sore throat all day. So, the weather is kind of getting to me a little, I think. We haven't had any consistent weather here lately. It's been either cold or rainy or warm or cold then warm and dry then rainy. It's just been awful. Just a crazy, crazy spring. Was it they say March comes in like a lion and out like a lamb? Seems like March has kind of gone out like a lion. Last Wednesday night we had tornado warnings all over the place, so I was hunkered down in the crawl space with Pumpkin, and just about the time you think that it's safe, you watch the weather on your phone, watch the radar, and watch the local weathercaster. Just about the time you feel like it's safe, you start getting things ready, and oh, here comes another tornado warning. So that was exciting, or not. So I'm hand priming tonight, and I'm using acrylic polyurethane surface primer by Vallejo. And this is black. I've got it in several other military colors, which are not just military colors, but they're also good colors just for giving a good base to inform the rest of your paint scheme. Don't generally prime in black if I can help it. I've been trying to prime in colors that are closer to the final product, but this is all right for hand priming. But it's got kind of a rubbery texture to it almost, and when it dries, much like gesso, it will shrink around the figure. Although you could rub it off. I believe Goobertown Hobbies did kind of a primer showdown on a video some years ago where he's got like gesso and just regular black acrylic paint. Because believe it or not, here's something. This is what the big paint companies don't want you to know. But you can actually prime with acrylic paint. Why? Because the plastics we use are plastic, and acrylic is a plastic, and acrylic is water soluble resin. And when the water goes away, it leaves the resin behind, and the resin is a plastic, and your figures are plastic, and plastic likes plastic, so they like to stick to each other. Now, will it withstand much handling? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not, depending on how much handling you do, and if you seal it. If you seal it, you can make a non-primed figure last quite a while. Let's see. Alternating rain and cloudy weather for the last several weeks. That's why we got contractors putting in a backyard deck. Ah, hey Otto, how's it going? Good to see you. Now this figure has a lot of really delicate features on it. And it's cast in kind of a harder resin. It's not cast, it's actually 3D printed figure. But the resin was a little bit hard, and I actually snapped her hand off here. Glued it back. We'll see how well I glued it when the primer dries. I'm not really much for zenithal priming, but I may do that with some of these Victoria figures, just because they're different than what I usually have. Now, why am I not for zenithal priming? Because I don't think it really does that much. Got my house clean and more organized, so now I can have people over. Nice. Nice. I'm still working on it, Otto. I'm still working on it. I got a good start here, and then everything started happening again, and I'm busy, 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 so. That's good. Glad to hear it, Otto. Seems like every time I make any progress on that front, everything gets busy again, and then it falls behind. So let's see. Vinyl PVC figures with multi-surface craft paint through an airbrush. For some reason, it clings like crazy, especially if you paint up the mini before the craft paint fully cures. Yeah, Quantum. When I go up to Ralpartha, Jacob found almost like an Americana craft paint. Somebody turned him on to that is a really good. I mean, it likes to stick to metal, it seems, and it's not really a primer. It's like a weird flat black. I don't remember what it is, and I don't remember the model number of it, but it's just a craft paint that just the formula of it is just pretty amazing. And there are some figures in the Ralpartha catalog website that I painted up that I used that as the primer, and I will say it was practically bomb-proof. So, super tough stuff. With no loss of detail, water soluble, you know. Stop by whenever you want, whenever you got time. Yeah, absolutely, Otto. I got to get my car fixed. The other day, I was driving, and it sounded like I started to have a wheel bearing start whooshing on me. It was the same wheel that fell off, so I'm not really surprised. What is that? That's interesting. Um, when that tie rod broke and my wheel went flying off, um, it's the same wheel that happened to. So I'm not really surprised that that I'm getting a whoosh sound from there. I was kind of started going whoosh 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 whoosh, and that's generally a sign of wheel bearing going bad. So I may have to. I'll have the money for that next week to do that. So got to get that done before I drive it anymore, because my next big engagement for hobby stuff is going to be at Rathacon up in Athens next weekend. So I got to get that fixed before I go there. So next week I got to get that into the shop. And get the wheel bearing replaced. I mean, it shouldn't take too long. The problem is wheel bearings are doggone expensive. So that is a bit of a problem, which is why I'm waiting until next week to do it. So Folk Art brand multi-surface paint. Yeah, Quantum. I think that's what it was. The Folk Art multi-surface paint. I believe that's what we were using at Ralpartha. So I think that's exactly what it was. But yeah, it works really good. Otto says, "I'm hearing when the wheel fell off, the Joker got away." Right? There's an old chestnut. Paint the pith helmet here. I think that primer is starting to dry on my brush, and it's starting to do some weird things there. So give it a good rinse. Oh, 11:15 now, so I'm probably gonna get a little bit more primer on this. Lots of nooks and crannies on this particular figure. And have a good time painting this. I was planning on buying the full set of Dirty Down products from Rust to Snot. Snot's actually their latest product, and you can actually bring it out in like big drool. Like big strings of drool, and if you got a big monster tongue hanging out, you can really do some neat things with it. So they've got one called Gore, which is red, which is the same product as Snot, but it's got red tint to it. I don't know that I would necessarily use that product as much as I would use Snot for drool and things like that. But it might not be bad to have on hand, but it's just not. I don't have projects that I really intend to have gore sticking out everywhere. I mean, I've got Tyranids here, but unless they're actually eating somebody, I don't really intend to model gore. But I could use the Snot for those, and I could use the Snot on, say, something like this with the tongues hanging out. I put a little bit of a water effect on one of the beholder's tongues. One of the beholders that I did. Actually, I think I only just did the one beholder for somebody. Miniature of the month went to DD Minis, I think. and it's a beholder. And I put water effects on the tongue, and just kind of built them up, but I wasn't able to get a icky sort of a string coming off of there, which you could have done with the snot product from Goblin's Hut. But I wanted to get it, but it was sold out at the Goblin Hut's stall. And I could have gotten it from Michigan Toy Soldier, but I really wanted to get it from Goblin's Hut. Because I was standing there and I really didn't want to go deal with the crowds out in the hallway where the Michigan Toy Soldier booth was. So I did not get it. I failed in getting that. But I failed in getting that, but I did succeed in not spending a whole lot of money at Adepticon this year. So that was kind of a goal, to not spend a whole lot. I think total purchases, including food, I think I spent $200. So a lot of these figures were free. Like this was a free figure. That was a free figure. That was 7, that was 7, that was 7. So 21 there. So, you know, it is what it is. I got the tabletop minions bag as well. So the carrying case, the miniature carrying case. So I got that. That was pretty cool. Red, unlike the other battle foam bags, it's a bright crimson red with Adam's logo on it. So reppin' Adam to the local stores when I go. Actually, we got another store coming. We got a store coming back to town here that was, the gentleman closed it, and now I think he retired, or he's got a better way of doing things. So he's opening up a store. So we're gonna have miniatures back in town again after trying for several years to get the other kid to start carrying them, but you know, I've only proven several occasions that they're a viable product here. Let's see. I'm still going through the pile of free swag bag figures from last Adepticon. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Understandable there, Quandom. That's absolutely true. I mean, you could just paint one figure a day from the amount of things that come out of Adepticon. And those are just the giveaways. Lots of giveaways. Everybody's got a neat little giveaway to give. So, but yeah. So that's the one we got blocked in pretty well. More to do on him later on, I guess. And yeah. So priming is half the battle, folks. Priming is half the battle. So let's go ahead and see who is up and running over here on Twitch. But before we roll out and raid, I'm going to say goodnight to our friends and over at Rumble and YouTube. So always remember, folks, no matter how bad today might have been, the sun's coming up tomorrow, and the world is a better place with you in it. Something I strongly believe. Good night to YouTube and good night to Rumble. Stay tuned on Twitch. We're going to go raid.